Calming Your Families, where we address 6 areas of health for families: emotional, financial, mental, physical, social, and spiritual. My guest today is a good friend, Tammy Goen. She is the Calm Coach, and she also has a show on Win Win Women, which I have found very helpful. I've been able to watch several of her episodes. She has some of the best tips and ideas on how to calm ourselves down. So I was really excited when she agreed to be a guest on my show and help us understand more about how our nervous system functions. So, Tammy, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's always good to be on your show and to be chatting with you. So I appreciate another opportunity.
And do you want to tell us just a little bit about your journey to becoming the Calm Coach?
Sure. So I always knew that I was either going to be an artist or working with numbers or working with people from when I was little, And once I started taking psychology courses, I knew that was my direction, and I'd always been really fascinated about why people do what they do, and it just kind of was a natural direction for me. And so I did end up getting a master's in counseling, straight through school, and I did that for a while. Ended up working with a lot of survivors of various types of abuse, which was very intense. And at the time, I wasn't aware of myself being what's considered highly sensing or highly sensitive, that trait of sensory processing sensitivity. That was just being researched while I was actually in my program. So I wasn't aware of any of that, and didn't really set up everything just the right way so that things didn't affect me as much as they did. I was always actually really good at what I work with people a lot with now, is taking care of myself and calming myself. But I needed that extra piece of awareness, of understanding of my sensitive system itself. And if I'd shifted some of that stuff, I might still be doing the same thing, who knows? But I did hit a wall. I just had burnout all of a sudden after about 12 years or so, and made some changes and just realized I couldn't do that work anymore. So then I went to massage school and learned energy work and massage, and I did that for a while and helped from that angle, which was great. And then I really started missing the emotional piece again. And so I knew I didn't want to go back exactly to what I was doing before. I had that background, but coaching seemed to fit, much more cleanly for me in that place. And so during that journey, I did discover that high sensitivity piece. And so one of the things I do focus on is working with other highly sensitive people. I call it highly sensing, a little bit less stigma, I think, than the word sensitive. But I do work with a lot of those folks, and then others as well, and really focusing on that nervous system, as you mentioned, and self-care, and how we can really manage, whether we're highly sensing and we're in this too big, too loud, too much world for our sensitivity, or we're typical, average, not necessarily highly sensing, but there's a lot going on in the world, and our lives just seem to get busier and busier. And stress is just, an all-time high, and it's just really impactful on everyone. So that really has become my main focus, is really helping people to manage everything that's going on and still really enjoy life and be healthy, and not have that have a really negative effect. Try to avoid burnout and minimize that feeling of overwhelm all the time. So it's a pretty natural fit.
I know that people can go to your website and they can learn more about highly sensing and what that means. And you even have a quick survey if they suspect that they are, or a family member is, and they can get more information on that. And I love that you do that this is an unrecognized part of our population who probably take a lot of criticism for, you're just too sensitive, and we don't, but it's this understanding of our nervous system and how it works, and how it works differently for some than others. I know I worked with students with ADHD or autism, and they were described as being wired differently. So tell us more. What have you learned about the nervous system and how it functions?
Well, and I like that when you just said that they're wired differently, because the term now used is neurodiverse, which is what that means. It's like everyone is actually wired. I mean, there's just so many different ways of being wired, and highly sensing is one of those. Being on the autism spectrum, ADHD, all of those things. And it is really about the way we process life and how we're able to manage that. So our nervous system, I mean, some of this is talked about these days, fight or flight. People usually know what that means. But really what it means is that we've got, two parts of our autonomic nervous system, which is the part we don't think about. We have the rest and digest, the calming piece that we want to be in all the time. And then we have the fight or flight. And there's also freeze and fawn, which is, so sometimes people completely shut down. They're not running away. They're not fighting, but they're just immobilized. So they're just shut down. And then there's fawn, which is actually quite common for highly sensing people who want everything to be just right and are perfectionistic and want everyone to be happy, is that, oh no, I'm fine. No, it's all good. And trying to convince ourselves of that when it's not all fine. So we have the fight, flight, freeze, fawn. We're in that mode unless we shift into, oh, okay, now I can rest and digest. And it's, kind of the old adage of being chased by a tiger. And then like, oh, the threat is gone. Now we can relax. But in our world these days, there's so much going all the time. And we're wrapped up in so many things. We have so many expectations. We work so much. There's family and work and all of these things together. It's like being in that fight or flight, running from the tiger all the time. And so if we're not ever shifting into the, rest, relax, rejuvenate, digest, all of the systems that are supposed to be functioning, under the radar to keep us healthy, are really struggling because we're in this fight or flight. We've got too much adrenaline going. We've got, just like we're holding our breath. We're doing all these things that are just not, beneficial and don't allow us to be in that place of regrouping. And, at this point, a lot of people are still in that place when they're sleeping. They go to bed, they're thinking about what they have to do as soon as they get up. They're worried about this, they're worried about that. They're, reviewing everything that happened during the day, and they're stressed while they're sleeping. They're having, dreams that are not maybe really helping.
Their mind won't shut down.
Exactly. And then as soon as they wake up, they're, grabbing their phone, looking at their email, so it's just a constant fight or flight experience.
Now,
So,
I learned once that a healthier proportion, that we actually need both. We need both sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, but it should be 80% rest and digest, 20% fight or flight, freeze or fawn. Is that what you've heard?
I'm not sure about that in terms of research. I think that makes perfect sense. And we're so far from that. If you think 80% of the time where we're just kind of chill, that we're really far away.
You'd say it's more likely the typical person, it would be reversed. They're 80%.
And if you think about the idea with the tiger is a really good example, because it illustrates, how that idea that, oh, we do need that, like you said, we need to get our stuff done. We need to be focused and right on. We need to be ready to react sometimes. And so that's really good. But that stuff typically, at least, way in the past, until life got crazy as it is, was just once in a while. And then the rest of the time, okay, yeah, you're aware that there could be some stuff happening, but that you can rally yourself and then run if you need to, or fight, or whatever that is. But we end up, I would say, at least 80% in that fight or flight, if not more, especially if we're even not having restful sleep, because we're so
that can't be healthy. That's got to be damaging our body as well as our emotions.
One of the big things that they've discovered is, that not only changes obviously how much we love our life and how happy we are and that kind of thing, but it really impacts our immune system. So if our nervous system is tanked and we are not giving it what it needs, we're not getting the restful sleep that we need, our immune system's not going to keep up and we're going to get sick. That might be just, cold or flu or COVID or something like that. It might be something chronic fatigue. It might, something bigger, more chronic. But our immune system just says, I can't do it anymore.
Which just adds to our stress when we get sick.
Exactly.
So you help people learn how to calm. So that would a healthier amount then be at least half of the time you're calm and relaxed?
Yeah, I mean, I think 80% is a wonderful goal, but it can probably seem like way, way out there for most people. But yeah, I mean, if you think, oh, if I could just get half the time when I was feeling calm, not just telling myself, okay, this is my time to be calm, but my brain is going 100 miles an hour and I'm like this, if you really think about it. Oh, can I relax my body? Oh, it was really tight. So we can be in that in that place and not know it is, part of the problem too. It's like, are you stressed? Oh, I don't know. But you don't take deep breaths. You don't, you're not in that place where your body actually feels calm. So yeah, I think it's a really good tool.
Let me clarify. So let's define calm. So that means not only are your muscles relaxed and you're breathing deeply and evenly, but also your mind has slowed down. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, because I mean, as an example, because one of the things I do is also massage therapy. So you can, if you're in a massage and your body is releasing, somebody's helping you do that, but your mind is going the whole entire time, you're still in that fight or flight place.
That's
Even
true.
though your body is trying to relax. And sometimes people will be, okay, I'm fighting it. I'm trying to relax. And that's because the brain just keeps going. And we need our thinking brain. It's not like we have to think of it as a bad thing, like our ego mind, I can't have that, our monkey mind, whatever. But it's that idea that it's just going. When we want it to do that, it's effective and that's great. And we need it. And we need times when we're not doing that. And the big thing is, thinking about how we are addressing the nervous system is if we are in the moment, in the present, then the body can let go and calm. But when we're thinking about the past, rehashing what didn't work, what we didn't like, what we're embarrassed about, what we're regretful of, and or we're thinking of what's coming, what we're worried about, the deadlines, the stuff that's coming up, and the the crazy busy schedule, and you're focused on that, you can't be in that rest and digest, relax place, because for our system, there's no difference between what's actually happening and what we're thinking about happening. So if we're remembering stuff that's stressful, we're worried about stuff that's stressful, our body says there's danger. Something I have to be ready to run from something, even though we're just thinking, we're just sitting here, nothing's happening. We're not having to, we're not being chased. We're not having to kick up the adrenaline or whatever. We're just sitting and we're thinking, but our body says, oh, you're really concerned about that. There's a threat. I need to kick in that system, that sympathetic system of, ready to go at any moment.
So the nervous system responds the same way, whether there is an actual threat or just a perceived threat.
Exactly. Perfectly stated. Yes. Yeah, it can't tell the difference. And it doesn't mean there's no difference between what could be happening or might and what already did. I mean, when you think about that, oh, we need to let go of the past. It's already passed, but we can be stuck on it. There's nothing we can do about it, but we can act as though it's this horrible, horrible thing. And then our body says, oh, it's a threat. Yeah. So it's a perceived threat that's already happened. So, we're really in a place where it's like, well, that does not help at all because you can't change it. I mean, at least if it's something in the future, you could make some tweaks or say, oh, that's going to be really important. I'm going to do this differently. You still need to have that time when you're not preparing. But when we see it as, just some kind of really major, important negative thing or challenging thing, then it's definitely that perceived threat.
Well, that makes sense to me. So what are some tools that will help us get to that? It is the key, first of all, to recognize the difference between an actual threat and a perceived threat. Does it help to do that?
Yeah, that can be helpful. Anytime that you find yourself just really wound up, you can, stop, take a deep breath and say, what am I telling myself? And then you can say, or, what am I thinking? What am I telling myself? And then if you recognize that it's not anything happening right now, and
Mhm.
if you do realize it's past stuff, you can say, oh, I can let that go because I can't change it. It's the past. And then if it's future things, you can say, oh, okay, so I'm going to spend this, designate this time to make a plan for this so I don't have to worry. But right now, do I need to worry about that? Okay, I don't, because I'm just right here. So yeah, being aware of that is really good. And then, I mean, really the very first thing is to be able to breathe deeply so that we get
Mhm.
enough. I mean, there's multiple things, but enough oxygen to our brain. Our brain has to have oxygen to think. And if we breathe really shallowly, if you're running from a tiger, or you're, working out, or you're just holding and not breathing very well, we have really shallow breathing, really, really light. We're not using up all of our lung capacity. And there's a lot of toxins in there that aren't getting, freed up. And it's just, and then the body through, some people have heard of this terminology these days, but the vagus nerve, which connects everything throughout our entire body, actually, but it responds to that, that threat, perceived or not, perceived or real. And so when we can breathe deeply and really slowly, especially on the exhale, it immediately tells our system we're okay. There's no threat. Because if I can breathe slowly, deeply, and really let the exhale go, then I must be okay. Because if I'm able to breathe that way, and our system knows that, it says, oh, nope, no threat, we're good. So that's
That's
one.
powerful. Just breathe. Now I understand that soldiers, police officers, people who have these high stress situations, that's the first thing they're taught
Oh,
is
good.
to deep breathing.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter what you think about it. If you think, oh, this is a bunch of hooey, or this is too simple to work, it doesn't matter. As soon as you start to breathe slowly and deeply and really let that exhale go, your body automatically shifts into that rest and digest place. No matter
Wow.
what you've been doing. So it doesn't matter what you're thinking if you can get yourself to do that. And if you think about it, in terms of family, if you've got a screaming toddler, what's
Mhm.
one thing that parents are often seen doing with their, okay, slow down, just breathe, right? I mean, there's a reason for that, because it works. If you're breathing like this, and all this stuff is in your head, you're not going to calm down. But if you can just shift your body by breathing, then things can follow, and then you can focus on doing more things, that can help you. But that's the easiest. And of course you can do that anywhere, and no one has to know you're doing it.
Yeah.
Not like anyone's going to go, what are you doing?
So simple and so easy and yet so powerful.
Right. Yeah. And I just love how it just automatically does that shift into that rest and digest. It just doesn't matter. It just gives that signal. Oh, actually, I'm okay. Yeah. Which is great for someone experiencing anxiety, or, getting ready to do a presentation, or something where they're just like feeling their nerves, and they're just amped up or anxious, and just shifting into that calm breathing takes it down, a few notches. So
All
that's why
right. So be aware of your thoughts, identify perceived and real threat. Take a deep breath. What else?
and
Breathe
then
deeply.
find something that will keep you in the moment. So that could be meditation. It could be a really focused deep breathing exercise, more than just, a few. It could be yoga. It could be walking, in nature, doing kind of a walking meditation where you're clearing your mind and just paying attention to everything that's around you. And if you're somewhere where you can't do something fun or something that takes a while, but you want to be in the moment, it's all about just paying attention to that moment. So you can do that when you're doing the dishes, instead of planning for tomorrow or being irritated by what was just happening 5 minutes ago, or what, you just shift and say, I'm washing the dishes. What does the water feel like? Oh, I feel the silkiness of the soap. And look, it's a really nice, clean, pretty dish. And you just are in that moment. And so if anytime that you are in the moment, you can't be in the future or in the past. And so your nervous system says, everything's okay. I can be in rest and digest mode, and I can regroup and have all of those processes working as they're supposed to. So even if it's not like something that you want to take time out for, you can still be present. Sometimes, people will use the term mindful, which is really trying to not have your mind full, but being in that moment of whatever experience. So even if you're just sitting at your computer and you're feeling tension, stop, close your eyes, and listen one thing at a time in your room. Okay, I can hear the clock. I can hear the heater come on. I can hear, like a bird like tapping on my window, or whatever it is, like pay attention to one thing at a time all around you. That's being in the moment, because you're not thinking, you're noticing. So any kind of activity like that.
It almost sounds like having an anchor that keeps you in the present rather than drifting into the past, which is out of your control, or into the future.
Exactly.
I love that.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Okay. So in the moment.
Yeah. And then I would add to that piece, when you do have extra time, as a ongoing, practice to help you be in that state more often, just like meditation. If you can have daily meditation, I think it's really impactful, because then you can have at least that 5, 10, 20 minutes every single day when you are in that present experience. But if you can find something what puts you into the flow mode, which, that where you don't think you are supremely content or happy or just totally in the moment, you don't care whatsoever about the rest of the world. And that could be dancing. It could be, for some people, actually running. It could be something that allows you to completely detach from the real world, with what's happening around you, other than, like, for me, it is actually dancing and hiking. Those are the two. I just get totally in that flow state of everything is perfect. It's all just good. Life is good. So if you can find those things that work for you and make sure that you add those to your practice, at least one of them daily, where you're getting at least 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, where you're just so focused on something that's feeding you or allowing you to be super present and quiet, like meditation, so that all of that stuff goes away. And then your nervous system really calms during that time. And then it's like building a muscle, over time. When you work out in the gym, you don't just work out once and go, oh yeah, I've done that. I don't know why I'm not stronger, or no, you keep going to the gym. So you keep doing these practices that take care of your nervous system. And then overall, what you're able to manage increases, because your nervous system, the baseline drops, and is more calm all the time. So having something like that, ongoing is really important.
This sounds like it's a form of self-care.
Absolutely. It's one of the best things to have in there and it is, because it is part of that self-care thing versus taking care of other people. It is easy to slip into that, oh, I don't have time, I'm selfish, that's not fair. If I take this 10 minutes every day just for me, those things can limit people from doing these things. But if we think about it in terms of that nervous system functioning, that you can only, it's, like if someone who's go, and then they get a day off and they get sick, right? That's so common, because you just are going over the limit for the longest time. Your body's trying to keep up, doing its very best. And then finally it just goes, oh my gosh. And then your immune system is tanked. And so you have to look at it as necessary, not selfish. And all of those times that you can be in the moment are going to be really impactful. So whether that's deep breathing or meditation, time in nature, dancing or running or whatever that is, they get you in that state, something creative, drawing, something that just makes everything go away. And next thing you know, it's been an hour, stuff like that, where you just lose track of time. Those usually get you into that flow state of no past, no future. I'm just right here and everything is just flowing. It just is. It's just great. So that's really impactful for the nervous system and for the immune system.
I love it. Now, I know on your show, sometimes you will end with a calming exercise. Do you do those with your clients when you work with them on teaching them those skills?
Yeah, I often start with, a little bit of a grounding before we even start the session, just to shift into that, like, oh, I've got all these things going. Okay, now I'm here doing this. Okay, let me help my body to let go and be focused and able to think clearly and do what I'm wanting to do. So, a grounding exercise is really good. And then that's the very first thing I do with almost all of my clients is self-care, starting with calming the nervous system. Because if we're in that fight or flight constantly and we want to do all of these great things to improve ourselves, it's a real struggle, because we're not starting with that key aspect of, oh, I want to do all these things, but I'm in fight or flight. It just doesn't work well.
Well, and I tell my clients, you make the best parenting decisions, the best relationship decisions when you're calm.
Exactly.
When an incident happens and you're in that fight or flight, that's not the time to try to discipline your children.
No.
You're going to end up saying or doing something you'll regret later.
Exactly. It's important to understand that the way our brains work, we don't function equally with emotion and intellectual thinking, decision making. So if we're really wrapped up in being angry or sad or disappointed or whatever, and that's what's really primary, we're not going to be thinking clearly. So if parents are frustrated with their child or angry with an argument they just had with a spouse, and that's carrying over to, like, now I have to take care of my kid. Yeah, if you're wrapped up in that anger or hurt or frustration, who knows what's going to come out of your mouth because you aren't hooked into that clear thinking mode, which means, oh, I have to be in a calm space, let go of those feelings, shift over, and now I can focus. And then I can say what I really mean to say, or what's really going to be helpful, instead of just retaliating or reflecting back what's coming in, because you're in that protect mode, that fight flight mode.
Now, I know you have a lot of resources on your website. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I do have the quiz if people are curious about high sensitivity, and then I do have an app as well for highly sensitive folks, and then some ebooks that are available for free, and those are all available both on my website, and then if you go to Linktree and just find my name, Tammy Goen, there, it's got a list of all of those options, and then my show, which is also on Win Win Women, which is available. And like you said, it's really focused on high sensitivity, but the idea is really the majority of the stuff that with anybody on is just much more important or significant or affected with high sensitivity. So it's not like stuff that's only useful for high sensitivity. It's just that much more so in some cases. So,
yes. I found a lot of, I loved your exercises at the end, and I took your quiz. I'm not highly sensing, but I still found so much benefit there. All right. So you said Linktree is probably the best because that has everything. Your website, your LinkedIn, and then you have a really good newsletter that you post on your website, and you also
I do a weekly blog, and then that also goes on to a newsletter, as they call it, on LinkedIn.
You have a lot of valuable content. I've appreciated it.
Yeah. So it's always available on the website on my, blog section if people aren't on LinkedIn.
And then all the resources on your website, including a lot of free ebooks on a variety of topics.
Yep, and everything again is accessible from Linktree if you end up not on the website, but it'll.
All right. Well, is there anything you would like to add before we wrap up?
Just to remember that again, it's not selfish to take care of your nervous system, and it's imperative that you do, because we can only manage so much without any energy, with a tapped out nervous system, and it's going to affect your immune system. So if you want to be healthy as well as happy, you really need to focus on that nervous system. So if it's only the deep breathing, doing that every single day for maybe 5 minutes, that's the easiest way to start. Just being in a place where you can't be distracted, and just see how deeply you can get that breath going. Make the exhale really long and nice and full, and just do that for 5 minutes. That's going to make a big difference. So yeah, making that time, committing to that,
being in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Just center those thoughts. It's you always have a thought in your mind, but if you can get it down to one thought.
Yeah, and then even if whether you're meditating or not, if you're doing deep breathing, have the thought be, I can visually see and feel the breath coming in, going down, being in my belly, coming out. Where's my breath, or the breath, or
or counting.
Or counting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to get the out breath longer, you can count in a couple seconds longer, or a couple counts longer. So breathe in for 4, hold for 1 if you like, breathe out for 6 or 7. Different people say different things, and it really, for me, I think it depends on what's comfortable. I know for some, to wait to go like in for 4, hold for 2, out for 7. That out for 7 can seem, you can get kind of panicky at the very end if you're not used to doing that yet. Shorten that up a little bit. Maybe you'll breathe in 3 or 4 and you breathe out 5. Just a little bit longer, that will help, but make sure that it's comfortable for you and you're not feeling panicky when you're breathing, because that will negate the whole purpose. So just making it right for you.
Just remember to breathe, because if you don't, those people that you're putting their needs before yours, they will pay the price if you're not taking care of your nervous system, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Tammy, thank you so much for joining me. For my audience, join us again next week. Until then, love yourself, love your family. Let's make the world a better place by strengthening families. This is Emily Penrod with healingyourfamilies.com.